Talking about the earliest general election debate in U.S. history right here on CNN. 10 days from now, both campaigns have agreed to these stipulations. It will take place in a studio, a television studio, no live studio audience. There will be 2 commercial breaks. During those breaks, campaign staff will not be allowed to interact with the candidates at all. The candidates will stand at identical podiums. A coin flip will determine their positions. And finally, the candidates' microphones will be muted except when it is their turn to speak. With us now, CNN senior political commentators David Axelrod and Scott Jennings. And gentlemen, with just 10 days to go, I would like to declare that this is the first CNN morning show debate preview. I'm ringing a bell right there, so that makes it official. So welcome. Welcome to our pre-debate analysis. David, let me start with you. Yes. President Biden, what is the one thing he needs to achieve at this debate?
I think he has to prosecute his case against his political case against Donald Trump and not get bogged down, as incumbents often do, John, in the first debate, in great detail in defending his record. He needs to be on the offense and create a comparative. And the case against Trump they're beginning to make, which is he's for him, I'm for you. And he needs to throw that into a future tense and what he would do, what Trump would do, and give people who are on the fence here, and there are people on the fence who don't like either of them, something to think about.
Scott Jennings, to you, what's the one thing that Donald Trump needs to do with this debate?
Well, he needs to avoid the disaster that was the first debate of 2020, where Trump really saw the last possibilities of his winning the election go away. So being under control, staying over the target, and not relitigating the 2020 election, but litigating the circumstances of the American people right now. They've already decided to fire Joe Biden. He's got a 38% approval rating. They've not yet quite decided whether to rehire Donald Trump. But if he avoids sort of being too aggressive and he stays over the target of these issues like inflation and immigration, he's got a really good chance to come out in this debate a little bit better than he is today, which is already slightly ahead.
So I was going to ask you, you say he needs to avoid being aggressive. I was going to ask you, Scott, what the biggest risk is for Donald Trump. Is that it?
Yeah, the biggest risk is being overly aggressive, getting bogged down in things that aren't what is on the minds of the American people. And what the reason he's winning is because of inflation. The reason he's winning is because of immigration, and the reason he's winning is because people have grave doubts about Joe Biden's ability to serve another term. So you have to keep the debate on those grounds. If you willingly wander off into some other area, it could be a bad night for you, and give Biden what he needs, which is a change in trajectory of this campaign.
And David, to that end, what is the biggest risk for President Biden?
Well, that he plays the debate for history instead of for votes, and extols his own accomplishments, which I think are substantial. But that is not where the minds of voters are right now. And they're thinking about their own situation, and they're thinking about the future. And he needs to recognize that. And you know, just as both these guys have to not make this debate about themselves, but about the American people and the future, and the other guy. You know, we'll see if they can do that. I think that, you know, we have a situation where we have the 2 least popular candidates in history. Scott said people want to fire Joe Biden, but they sure don't like Donald Trump. And they don't like him for some of the reasons that he displayed in that first debate, as Scott mentioned. They just don't. They think he's self-absorbed. They think he's nasty. And if he's self-absorbed and nasty in this debate, that'll be a problem for him.
I'm surprised. I don't think either of you have mentioned the word age yet. David, first to you. How will that play?
Well, obviously, I mean, you know, one of the tests, particularly for Biden, though Trump, you know, is nearly his age, is how does he hold up for the duration of this debate? Trump has done him a real favor by setting the bar so low that if Biden simply walks up to the podium and walks away upright, he will have in some ways won the debate. I think he should want to do more than that. But obviously, people are going to be assessing their performances to see, you know, about Biden's stamina and about Trump's mental state.
Scott, age?
Yeah, I think that the bar is low for Biden because of people's observations of him over the last 4 years. I don't think it's Trump that set the bar low. I think people have already sort of decided he's not up to this. So he does have a chance to jump over that bar. And so if you're Trump, how do you help him along and not jumping over the bar? And that's by letting him talk. I mean, the problem with Biden in a lot of his public appearances is the more he talks, the worse it gets. And so you have to have a little bit of discipline here to see if Biden can unspool in a way that would lead people to believe, yep, I've been thinking he's not up to it, and that was confirmed tonight. For Trump, you just don't want to misspeak constantly and let the narrative of the campaign of the night be something like, Trump misspoke more than Biden, or Trump, mixed up names in the same way he says Biden does. You don't want the narrative to be like they both had problems. You want it to be squarely that you looked better, more fit for office than Biden did.
Very quickly to both of you, what's the hardest part about debate prep with a candidate? Scott, first quickly to you.
Well, I think with Trump, it's that he's not a traditional candidate. I mean, he's not someone I think who's going to be sitting in a room, going to a podium, practicing tactics. I mean, best I can tell, they're having discussions, and they talk about things that you might want to do. But he's a performer, and he's not a politician. And so I think when we talk about debate prep, Axe and I are thinking about how would you prepare a regular person, a regular politician. That's not Trump. And so all the tactical and policy stuff that we might kick around here as being smart debate prep, I doubt that's in the matrix for him. So I think it's harder to prepare Trump. But at the same time, he's a TV person, and so you assume he's got a good chance of using the TV to his advantage.
David?
It's avoiding the trap of trying to answer the questions in detail, but rather take the questions and repurpose them for your own message strategy. And, a lot of candidates approach these things and they think, well, it's like a joint press conference. It is not. It is a performance where you have to land your lines, and those lines need to advance your strategy. And it takes time sometimes for candidates, particularly presidents who haven't debated in a while, to absorb that.
David Axelrod, Scott Jennings, thank you for being part of history, the first ever pre-debate analysis of the earliest ever general election debate, which will air in 10 days.
I would have worn a tie, John. I didn't know. I know. I would have worn a tie if I had known that.
Sometimes history gets sprung on you with no warning at all. David Axelrod, Scott Jennings, thank you. And, of course, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash will moderate this first debate. It happens June 27th. That's next Thursday night. That is